Welcome to Road Dispatch Diaries. Real stories, real loads, all from behind the scenes.
I'm Tandra, owner of TS Hill Logistics.
Hi, and I'm Cassie, owner of Cal Logistics, and baby, we are officially into what's next season.
And I'm Keiva, owner of Rules LLC. We started in dispatch, but we did not come this far just to stay in one lane, baby. Diversify.
That's exactly what today is about. Episode 5 is all about how dispatching has opened doors for each of us, not just to move loads, but to solve problems, build businesses, and support the people behind the wheel.
Because dispatching taught us the freight side, but it also taught us how many other pieces truckers actually need to stay profitable.
Right. Dispatch was a doorway. What's behind it is where the real building happens.
For me, dispatching showed me that a lot of small fleet owners and owner-operators don't just need loads. They need support. They need somebody who understands the numbers, the pressure, the planning, and the reality of trying to stay profitable without losing your mind.
Without losing your mind is key.
Very key, because dispatching will have you speaking in calm tones while your eye is twitching.
That's real industry skill right there, for real, y'all.
So now I'm moving into business solutions and support, because once I started seeing all the gaps, organization, strategy, profit planning, communication, I realized dispatching gave me a front row seat to the whole operation.
So basically, dispatching turned you into a business doctor.
Doctor is pretty, let's go with it. I'm gonna take that compliment. A business doctor. Yeah, I'm not Alex Hormozy, but I'm on my way.
Right.
All right. Well, even though I went to school and I got my doctorate degree, I do realize that there's so much more for me to learn, and it gives you strong opinions as well.
Cool. So what about you all? When did you realize that dispatching was opening the door, not to just paying a bill?
I want to say mine was the moment I realized I was not just booking loads. I was helping people make decisions that affected their whole business. That's when it kind of clicked to me that, maybe I should start looking to solve another real problems, because I've had drivers who know how to dispatch, So I wanted to find more of a way to where they needed me for a skill they couldn't do themselves.
Yeah, I understand completely. It stopped being just dispatching for me and became like, I really want to help people to build something. So that prompted me to share with my clients the broader perspective on how to make their businesses more profitable. And let's just face it, that's why people go into business anyway. They go into it for the flexibility, the freedom, and the financial prospects that could be out there for them. And so the way that I like to help my clients is to actually show them how they are not looking at the important things that could most definitely impact their profitability or lack thereof.
So we all got accidentally ambitious.
Very accidentally.
I don't know if it was accidental. I think it was God's plan for us to see all those holes in their business strategy and to help them with it.
Right. I agree. We will not go into anything without saying that we acknowledge the Lord in everything we do. And that's one thing that I appreciate about our bond. I mean, just off of us meeting one another, we've expanded to a daily prayer routine and just touching and agreeing. So that's very important. And I do believe that, it's going to take us further. We won't be in Israel for 40 years. How about that? But anyway, so my new venture is about finding springboards for new owner operators. I mean, because it's difficult to be thrown into the deep end and told, good luck, hope you survive. And so a lot of people who start their own businesses have an idea in their heads, but they don't do the work that's required, like doing a business plan beforehand, doing the profitability projections or any of those things. So that's the way that I kind of help my clients survive. I'm like, you're going into this, but let's go into this with a plan of longevity, not just to be in the business for 2 years or 9 months or 6 months and then it fizzles out because the work wasn't done. So that is what is important to me in helping people sustain their businesses.
Which is crazy because it happens all the time.
All the time, exactly. People buy a truck and suddenly everybody acts like they're supposed to become a freight wizard overnight. And let's face it, it doesn't happen that way. I mean, we're true testaments to that. Just Thursday, Cassie called me and asked me about what the market looks like. And I'm like, look, Cassie, it's great that this guy has an older MC, but let's remember to coach him in the right direction and to highlight things that he may overlook because he's looking at it from a driver perspective.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest that, you know, we've got a great dispatching program when we got ourselves started. But I will admit I was a part of that, you know, that high of being a business owner as well, where, you know, I, even with the guidance of our mentor, once I was in it, I realized I did not know enough. Like I had not done enough research, but I will also say that sometimes you can't plan for certain things. You do have to just get started. But when you get to that difficulty and that like uncomfortableness, you have to find a way to push through. I know that a lot of people jump in and they're not prepared for what comes. And then they want to step out. And it's just like, no. Be okay that you were, you know, you were kind of like, I don't, in some ways ignorant, you know, and just excited, right? But now you have to move past that and do the real work. You know, don't just give up because it got hard, because this is what you want, you know? So people, I wish more content creators would just say what it is. Like, it is difficult. It is difficult.
Yeah.
You go to your job, they tell you what to do. They got a whole plan. You ain't even got to do too much thinking there, you know, but in your own business, getting going, even with a mentor, you're making a lot of decisions on the fly by yourself. So,
So note to self, new business owners and new people who want to start a new venture, whether it's dispatching or anything. Have a plan before you go in. Don't just go in with all your revenue, getting ready to just, because it'll be gone before you know it. So the advice we can give you between the three of us is to definitely go into it with a plan and make sure that that plan is fluid, that you can massage the plan or change the plan or pivot as you're going through this process, because it is not going to work how you plan it, but at least you have some type of concrete guideline about how you're going to do it. Right now, I'm focusing on helping people lease their truck outfits to larger companies so they can start and maintain their businesses with more structure. And one of the things that really takes owner operators down in the beginning is the insurance. It could be between $5,000 or $6,000 a month, and you're not even bringing in $5,000 to $6,000 a month because your MC is not established enough, and a lot of brokers will not work with you until your MC gets past 3 months. And then once it gets to 3 months, some brokers say you need 6 months, and then they'll tell you you need a year. So you are in this entire holding pattern of paying this $5,000 to $6,000 a month, plus your truck payment, plus your trailer payment, or whatever else that you're doing, plus the fuel. So please, please, please make sure that you understand that the structure is so important. Do the research on the front end. Find out the requirements for the insurance. Some states require $750,000. I think that's the minimum. But in order to maximize your potential and get those contracts with those really big clients, they want you to have $1 million worth of coverage. So if you want to make yourself more accessible to these businesses with these larger contacts that can get you more profitable loads, you can do it, but it's going to cost you. The other thing that I would like to share is that it's not necessarily spoken about, you know, on all these people that are out here selling these programs, and Cassie can talk about that because she went through quite a few dispatch courses, but these people are not telling you the cost that it takes to actually start, maintain, and sustain from an owner operator perspective or a dispatcher perspective. The three of us did not have that experience. We came from a very, very sound program that we can all three attest to, that, you know, kind of gave us the experience and the courage, you know, to step out and to take other opportunities by the horns and embed them into our current business structure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know, what I thought was interesting too is like I found out that a lot of drivers that I worked with, like not only did they not know their cost, they weren't paying themselves, right? So it's like when you think about your business, this is a business you run, a company that you work for. Even though you started it, you still work for this company. So if it can't pay you, it's not you just actually working for free. And then on top of that, not knowing your numbers, you running loads for free, or sometimes you're paying the broker to run the load. So in a lot of this, I know the drivers are not considering these things, which is why me and my partner built a business performance report. And that's what we're working on now, so that we could take your BOLs and your rate confirmations and your business bank statement and your fuel card statement and see exactly what the business is bringing in, see where there's leakage, and then give you some insights on how to change it, you know? And if you work with the dispatcher, we share the report with the dispatcher too, you know, of course, with the client's permission. But it's like, this is something that dispatching exposed. And I'm like, yeah, we really gotta help them with this, because I don't want people entering and leaving the market. You know, this is your dream, let's fight for it, but you got to be willing. And I know it can be embarrassing. When I sat down and did my numbers from dispatching, I was like, oh, I got to change something. You know, you was playing around, you know, and it takes a lot of courage to admit that you don't know what you're doing and then to go seek help. So, but if you're willing to do that, you know, people like Cassie, people like Keiva, we're here to help.
Right. Like you were saying before, it's a springboard and not a cannon. And some people need momentum before they get their full independence. And you're absolutely right, Cassie. Tandra, you're absolutely right in terms of the numbers and people not paying themselves. When I first got into this, I wasn't paying myself because the money wasn't there. So that is why I shifted my focus to really educating owner operators who have new MCs about the options that are there for them to build their revenue and prepare them to go out on their own and be able to handle those monthly costs in such a way that they are able to pay themselves at the end, have enough money. So, you know, it can get dicey sometimes. You may only have $5 left in the bank account, but at least you paid yourself. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So that is, I do believe that that's true.
Yeah. And that's smart because it gives them, you know, a runway for sure.
Yeah, that's real, because if you jump in too fast, the business will introduce itself by punching you in the face.
The biggest bully is insurance. This is a racket.
And fuel.
And maintenance. Maintenance is, first of all, maintenance is unpredictable. You need to have a fund set aside because a repair could cost you $25, or it could cost you $2,500, or it could cost you $3,500. So you need to be ready for that. And the other thing that I can say from experience is, from an owner-operator perspective, because I'm not operating anything, and from a dispatch perspective, is that now one of my trucks is right now sitting over at the yard. I need to go over there. The driver emailed me everything that's wrong with the truck. And now the truck was just in the shop at the beginning of the month when he came home the first time. So now it's like I'm praying to God, you know, that the revenue is, I have money there, but I'm just saying, Lord, please don't let it exceed X amount of dollars so that I can still have money left over after these, you know, repairs. And also, I think that it's important for people to understand that once you do lease on to these companies, they have requirements. You have to do monthly reports. You have to inspect your truck, your trailer, and you have to check all these things out. You have to check the depths of the tires, and you have to, they want you to send in all of the maintenance that, you know, you've done on the truck for that month. So it's not just like, okay, you lease on to them and you're free. No, they take care of your insurance, your fuel, your tolls, and then they take a percentage of your take. So you can still make good money. So if they're doing a 70-30 split, and then you paying your drivers 20% of that, that means that you're only walking away with 50% of what's actually being made. But then from that 50%, you have to maintain your fleet and everything else. So as an owner, you're actually making less than 50%. So I want everybody to be in the know about that as well.
I think that that's pretty cool though. So this is all like new to me. So, you know, you say leasing onto somebody else, that they actually keep you accountable. You know, they make sure that you're doing X, Y, and Z. I mean, obviously because you're running under their authority, so they got to make sure. But that's
the structure.
That's
the structure.
Yep.
The structure is in place to help you become successful, because all you need to do is take that blueprint and tailor it to your needs, right? And so I've learned so much from the company that we have decided to lease on to, because they have taught me many things about structure. And so once we become solvent enough to split off on our own, the structure is there and we'll know how to go. So yeah. The truck is the shiny part. The rest is where the bills live. And that's the truth, y'all.
The truck is the main character, but the bills are the villain.
Yeah, that's the truth.
And the villain always comes back in the sequel.
with five cousins. They don't just come back alone. They come back with 5 cousins.
Yeah. All right, my turn, guys. I'm stepping into the tax preparation and business management positions for truckers, especially my truckers that sign on to my dispatch. Not even if like I am their dispatcher, I do want to basically do small business taxes, and more than likely majority of my clients will be truck drivers, because I already know what they deal with, it entails, and I'll find like lucrative ways to help them save money, especially when it comes to tax season, and give them pointers on what they need to do throughout the year to make things a lot more smoother for them. I'm gonna do a promotion where my truckers, they get like at least 10 or some percentage off, but I'll be able to charge everyone a set bulk fee for their taxes, because the goal is to save them money. Because being a small business owner, more than likely you're not going to get that earned income tax, because you're not working really. You don't pay taxes throughout the year unless you have it set up that way with your business.
Yeah, I mean, that makes perfect sense, because if anybody ever needed their business cleaned up with love and a calculator, it's truckers. And I know from doing research with my revenue performance report that there's I think it's called AT. I should probably look it up here, but there's a huge tax company for truckers that a lot of truckers are disappointed with. So I know that the market is there.
Yeah.
Been fresh.
That means that you've done the work, and there are a lot of holes in the industry that can be explored and expanded upon to make your business stronger. And that's why it's important to know what's going on. But the IRS is always punctual, rude but punctual. One thing that I can say for any business owner is that when most people start their own business, they go in with this idea that they're going to get all this money back on their income tax returns because they put out all this money. And that is not the case. If you want the return, you need to pay your taxes quarterly. And when I say that, it's 12 months in every year. So every 3 months, you need to be sending Uncle Sammy some money.
Yeah.
You need to send Uncle Sammy some money. So with my current business structure, my plan is to send about $3,000 every quarter, so that when I do file my taxes, that I will be able to get money back just as if I was getting a W-2. So that is very important. I think a lot of independent business owners miss out on that. Pay your taxes quarterly. Pay them quarterly.
Yeah, but even if, like, you're exactly right. Truckers make a lot of money, but a lot of them don't keep it. They're running hard, booking loads, handling the road, and the tax season shows up like, hello, remember me? And then their year has been super stressful because not every season is a good season, depending on the truck you have and what area, what market you're in, all that can hinder. So, I don't expect them to know or keep up with that. And a lot of them can't keep up with it because, if it's their first year and their MC is not seasoned enough, they're not going to be making enough to put $3,000 to the IRS every 3
whatever
months.
That numbers, whatever that
Right.
number is, I agree. I just threw that number out there, but whatever that number is, they need to be paying something quarterly. You follow what I'm saying? Of course, a newer MC is going to be very strapped for cash just because of the structure of the business. And that's another thing that I really feel very bad for truckers, because they don't share that information with them up front. They just show that there is a need in the industry. We need drivers. We need, the goods to be moved around the country and into Canada and Mexico proper. However, they do not talk about, the lack of opportunity for the new owners. And so I just really want, if you don't get anything from this message, viewers, please pay something quarterly. Pay something.
I'm going to keep that in mind too with my tax business. Like, okay, let's go over, even if it's like to set them up for next year. Next year, you'll be a little bit more seasoned. This is what I want you to do.
Right.
So that'll be dope too. Oh, also, Tandra, you might want to add that to your business. Like, just, creating another account, like letting them know to have another account specifically for tax season quarterly.
Yeah, that's for sure. And try to find opportunities from financial institutions that will help catapult their business with the options that they have at the banking institution. I think it's important to shop around for that banking institution.
True. Yeah, I agree.
So, I think that a lot of people don't understand that busy is not the same as being profitable. And so you could be busy all day, but your take home is not enough to cover what you need.
Not even close. Busy and still leave you broke with cute paperwork.
Yeah, cute paperwork. That sounds wild.
Yeah. Some of y'all get the prettiest, messiest business I ever seen.
Thank you. Exactly why I'm here.
Well, Dispatch taught me how to listen, assess, and think about the full picture instead of just the immediate issue. Well, I can't give all that credit to Dispatch. This is my second career. So I was already doing a lot of those things. It just taught me how to do it from a different perspective. I just had to pivot from the perspective that I arrived into the industry with and tailor it to trucking, transportation, logistics.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Dispatching in life, in itself will teach you patience, strategy, and how to smile through the confusion and the frustration.
Yeah, and how to answer the same question 5 different ways without sounding like irritated. So for sure.
Yeah, that's a true skill.
Honestly, dispatching teaches you how to build systems around chaos, which I talked about that a little bit earlier.
Yeah, which is basically the entire business model. So.
Yeah. So ladies, what lesson from dispatching helped you realize that you could build more or expand your business?
It's worth mentioning again, to be honest, like my personal content, well, it's not personal, but my business content is even though it's going to be the same, like cost per mile, it needs to be reiterated because so many drivers aren't doing it. But that for me is what it was, is drivers not knowing their numbers. That's when I realized that, okay, I could build more than just booking loads for drivers. And the truth is you almost need to as a dispatcher these days, because we talked about this in the last episode, or actually Keiva did, drivers can just book themselves, So if you have something else to offer that they're probably not doing because they're driving all the time. So if you're doing their taxes, you're doing like a business analysis, you're teaching them how to operate under someone else's MC and get some structure, all that is still needed as an add-on service. But yeah, it was the cost per mile and not knowing the business actual cost that was like, the light bulb going on saying, okay, drivers need more than just someone to source their loads.
Yep, same. I'm good at structure planning and helping people not turn a simple problem into a 10-day emergency, because drivers, they already have so much to focus on. They're focusing on their route, which ones they want to do, making sure they're safe on the road, they're meeting inspections, just like how we dispatch, right? They're looking at the roadmap. They're looking at their GPS from point A to point B and their paperwork. While we sit back, we look at the whole map. You know what I'm saying? We're looking at all that's out there, all the loads, the whole map, trying to route their stuff out. So it just makes sense as a dispatcher to find other things you can bring to their forefront, because, their attention is on the road while we're looking at the whole map of America.
That's true. And that's talent. So I think that we're in a very unique position, and it's not just because we're dispatching. I think that we had our third eye open, right? I don't know how many people are in our positions that are actually looking to expand outside of dispatching. So I think we're in a very, very unique position.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I should put that on my business card. How while you're looking at the GPS, I'm looking at the whole map. But definitely, I do believe that, I think that's just the key of being a hustler. It's just not being good at one thing. It's about finding a problem and profiting off of that problem.
Yeah. I mean, you really put that. That was well said. That was super well said. So
Thank
I like
you.
that. Yeah.
The 100%. I like to think of us like medication, like a Tylenol or an ibuprofen. We reduce problems, emergencies, and painful situations. So.
No, that sounds like we sell drugs over here. We sell pain pills. What we're doing, guys.
Yeah, but they're slow release drugs. We just give it to you a little bit at a time so you can take it.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
If you're new, don't box yourself in. What you start with does not have to be where you end.
Yeah, and don't be afraid to evolve. Growth is uncomfortable, but so is staying stuck and pretending that you're okay. And let's just face it, that's just a life lesson. That's not like a lesson in business. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Don't be in the same place you were 10 years ago, and the world is continuing to evolve. That is a recipe for destruction, and you will be frustrated with yourself and the progress that you have not made. So the one thing that we were always taught when in the course that we all took together is that do something every day.
Mm-hmm,
and even Steve Harvey said this. Steve Harvey said, invest. If you can't do anything for yourself, invest at least 15 minutes in yourself a day. And what your dreams and goals are outside of going to somebody's job, working for somebody else, because you want to create another stream of income. You want to create opportunities to break free of somebody else, because let's face it, we were all created unique under Christ Jesus, and he does not want his children to suffer. So we owe it. Well, it's already our inheritance. Let's just start there. I don't mean to go Bible on y'all, but let's just be for real. It's our inheritance. It's owed to us. And we are our biggest enemies. We are our biggest hold up, setbacks. And like I said, we're not going to be in Israel for 40 years. You've seen it then, you'll see it now.
That part. Also build around your strength. If you're good with numbers, systems, people, or strategy, there's a lane for that, even if it's a different lane. Like never stay stagnant, excel, do something a little bit more than what you're used to that aligns with, some of your strengths, like with Tandra, you're good at system, you're good at number. Instead of dispatching, you went and did the report analyst. That's good. I know it's uncomfortable at the moment, but you never want to stay stagnant. You always want to be good at something else. Adaptability is key in life.
Yeah, and dispatching can be the beginning to something bigger if you pay attention. And to your point, Cassie, you're right. You don't want to stay stagnant. I think it's best that you ask yourself, like, what is the problem? Like, actually analyze what's going on. Like, don't just stop what you're doing. Figure out what stopped working. Did you stop doing something? Did the system break down? Just ask more questions, and then you'll find the solutions that you're looking for.
Agreed. I'm really big on planning. And, dispatching, yeah, that was, we're planning your weeks at a time and all that. But the reason I got into taxing is because at the end of the day, that's like a big monumental moment in the year, every year. It's getting ready for tax season, and small businesses that could be a headache. So, I've never done taxes before. I've never even done my own taxes. But me learning about taxes is what's going to get me to that next level in growth. I'm already a good planner, so why not learn how to help drivers plan for the tax year, plan for the tax season, But I do have a question for y'all. What would y'all tell somebody who's scared to expand?
Start where you are, but don't start out of fear. And I'm going to give the viewers a realistic example. It goes back to when we first became a triumvirate, the three of us. It started from a conversation. I was telling Tandra I was coming to see you, and she said, "Oh, that sounds like a podcast." But an extension from that is me watching Tandra's messages on her page. I need to model that. So I've done that because of her model and because I see that she's focusing on a specific niche. She's focusing on mental health. She's focusing on the CPM. So I think that my niche is going to be, so your MC is new. How are you going to stay solvent? These are the things that you need to do. These are the steps you need to take, and do insurance one day, do lease on another day, just pick topics that are going to give people the answers or the solutions to the questions that they have so that they can be successful. And sometimes, ladies, that can be so scary, but you just have to step out on fear, and you just have to follow up with a step.
Mm-hmm.
You'll never feel 100% ready because, Cassie, you and I can both attest because we're mothers. When you're pregnant, you're carrying that child, you don't know what childbirth is going to look like. You have it all in your mind. I had a birth plan and all that written by how I wanted to do it. People strapped me to that bed and I couldn't follow that plan. I wanted to walk around. They were like, ma'am, no. So you have to be, very flexible and very fluid. So, just as unpredictable as life can be, that's how it is running your own business, and you have to be malleable.
Yeah, I mean, for me, someone who's scared to expand, I would only ask them, one question, which is, do you want to have the pain of staying where you are, or the pain of actually trying to get to where you want to be?
That's deep, sis. That's deep. Because both can be painful. Like, growth is uncomfortable. Growth is stretching you. And that's discomfort. But also it's painful to be sitting there like mad and angry that things have not evolved for you, but you haven't put in the work. Work is uncomfortable. That's why it's called work. And all our ancestors know, because they were somewhere on somebody's farm and didn't get no money for it. So guess what? I mean, plantation, excuse me. So let's just be real. We have what it takes.
Yeah, because the business will keep moving whether you're ready or not. So it's best to just keep up. Plan ahead, beat it.
Yeah, and that's the truth. And some people may find it to be disrespectful truth, but the truth hurts, and some people call it disrespect. I don't call it disrespect. I call it like removing the scales from your eyes so you can see the light and so you can move through it. You can't move through anything with your eyes closed. So.
Yeah. Let your faith be bigger than your fear.
That's right.
Yeah, the market doesn't care about your nervous system.
Yeah, unfortunately, it does not. It's not going to slow down or speed up because, you're stressed or you need more work. No, you got to find where the work is at. You got to make a way, create work. What do you want people to feel when they hear how our businesses expand?
I want them to feel like dispatching can become a foundation, not a ceiling. You could build something real from this.
I want new owner operators to feel like they have options and they don't have to figure it out all alone. I also don't want them to fall into the financial pit that awaits them upon entering the industry. And I want them to thoroughly research their options. Just because you're an owner operator does not mean that you have to be an owner operator shouldering all of the fiduciary responsibilities connected to your business. There are options out there that will sustain you until you can become solvent.
Awesome. And I want truckers to feel like their money matters, their records matter, and their business matters. I don't want them to it's our dispatching and logistics is already one wrong step. You could fall into a pit. So is tax season, especially for business owners. And I want to make sure I could be that net that catches you from falling in that pit.
Wow, that's the whole point.
Right. We came to build, not just babysit freight.
Period.
And sometimes babysit freight, unfortunately. This episode was a reminder that growth doesn't always look dramatic. Sometimes it looks like paying attention, seeing the gaps, and building something useful.
And sometimes it looks like turning your experience into somebody else's shortcut. And
Exactly.
that's what it's about. Because every idea builds upon. I remember when I was writing my dissertation, and I used to get so frustrated because it was stuff that I brought to the table from my own experiences. But as soon as it would get to my dissertation chair, she would be like, well, where did you get this information from? From my experience. And I felt like they stripped my experience away from me to make me rely on somebody else's to refer to and give somebody else credit for it, or to put it in the references for somebody else who had already been documented for it. But it's just building onto it. You're building one little pinhole in it, and that could be your money maker.
Exactly. We're proof that, dispatching can open doors you didn't even know existed. So I agree.
Yeah, thanks for rocking with us on Road Dispatch Diaries. If this episode spoke to you, share it with somebody that's building a trucking business, a dispatch business, or just trying to figure out their next move.
And keep sending in your stories, because real life in this industry is always giving content. I mean, some can be scary, some can be funny. And you can't make this stuff up.
Yes, always. Sometimes, we get a little bit too much content. Just we're basing it off real life experience.
Yeah. So stay real.
Closing the book on today's entry, stay profitable, stay protected, and email us your stories below.